There you go, Mr. Richard Dawkins, and it's funny to hear Hitchens and Dawkins. I thought they were buds. I don't know enough about their history together. Good morning, or afternoon, or evening, depending on when you're watching this, folks. I'm Don. I take a philosophical look at virtually any topic and just look at how the arguments are being made and such, and I like looking at theological arguments. I like looking at atheistic arguments. I like looking at purely scientific stuff. I just have a very curious mind. We're looking at Dawkins here, Richard Dawkins, and the title of this and the YouTube algorithm suggested this to me. I said, I'm going to do this one. What tempts Richard Dawkins to look towards God? Now, he's an atheist, as we know, but he leaves the door open. He says, look, there might be a God. I just don't see evidence for it. And so, is he an atheist? Does that constitute agnosticism? You can decide. Different people have different ideas on that. But let's see. And if you're a hardcore believer in God, this is probably going to turn your stomach. But I have no problems with it.
I'm not sure if it's easy to quantify which you are more suspicious of or more worried about in society. But I mean, it's easy enough to be against these ideas, but to be clear, I mean, if you could snap your fingers and tomorrow everybody in the United States became an atheist, would you do it?
Yes, I would. This was a question which was put to Christopher Hitchens, and he said no, because he loves arguing, I think. But I would say yes.
There's a clip, you can watch it online, of Christopher Hitchens talking about this. And he says, if I were given the opportunity, he says he was asked, if I were given the opportunity, there's one person left, I could deconvert them, I wouldn't do it. And he says, of course he loves the argument, but he says in that car ride, it's with Doug Wilson in the back of a car, he says, but there is that, but it's not just that, there's just something about it. And he said, I said this to Richard Dawkins, and the look of incredulity that he gave me remains with me.
Why?
Is what he said. I mean, wouldn't you be a little bit sort of sentimental? Wouldn't you want to sort of preserve it for its own sake?
Dawkins himself said, I did a reaction recently to another video of him a few weeks ago where he said he is like a secular Christian, where like he loves the hymns at Christmas time and all this sort of stuff, and he'd hate to see them disappear. So there's a bit of conflict here going on.
Cultural artifact? Would you really sort of take that last, probably not
yes,
particularly influential?
I do value, and I've said this often, I do value Christian literature. I value the literary heritage that we have from the Bible and the Book of Common Prayer. You can't take your illusions in reading English literature if you don't know the Bible. And so I wouldn't wish people to be uneducated in the existence of religion. I do take exception to teaching children, this is what you believe because you are a Catholic or a Muslim, whatever it is. But I do think that children should be educated about religion.
There you have it, folks. Richard Dawkins says, read your Bible.
He kind of did, but not for the reasons you might expect, clearly. But who was it who said that nature abhors a vacuum? It might have been in Nicholas Nassim Taleb's one of his books. But you've got to be careful. What do you replace it with? If you just pull out this plank, if you will, from society, of no longer people go to church, no longer people go to synagogue, people don't go to temple, nobody worships, nobody has a conscience towards sin. Nobody's conscience is kept in check, or actions are kept in check by theological dictates or mandates or suggestions of love your neighbor, don't be jealous, be forgiving, be gentle, be patient. If those ideas aren't put in your head, and those things just sort of disappear, what does it get replaced with? And these are the product of thought experiments, but when they get implemented, they can become failed experiments. Would we become like North Korea, in which you can only worship Kim Jong-il or Kim Jong-un, the leader, the grand leader? You can only worship that one. Is that where things would head if we didn't have some notion that there is somebody else that I'm going to answer to, rightly or wrongly, even if it's mythological, which according to Dawkins it is, that what does it get replaced with then? What do we wind up worse off because of it? Yes, we can look at issues that people have where people are intolerant because, well, I'm an evangelical Christian and I read my Bible a certain way and you don't. You're a bad person. Does that exist? Yes. Do the David Koreshes and Jim Jones exist? Yeah. So we could point to the downside of people who were involved with those religions. But was the religion the cause of it, or did they have a predisposition and they simply found a religious reason that they could justify to do these things? Psychologists and sociologists, mostly psychologists, could probably weigh in on that, and there would be disagreement among them. But Dawkins' idea that, yes, he would make America unreligious, if you will. Be careful what you wish for in that regard. Even though I'm agnostic, I know people who haven't done a lot of damage to the world that they would have otherwise done had they not started to read their Bible. So we cannot dismiss the good that is also being done, and that's how you weigh all of the so-called evidence as far as, what makes the most sense here. So, all right, guys. There you go, Mr. Richard Dawkins, and it's funny to hear Hitchens and Dawkins. I thought they were buds. I don't know enough about their history together, but, they both seem to argue the same thing net, and there you go. Have a great day, folks. Please subscribe and like. I'll see you on another video. Keep thinking philosophically. Hey, folks, if you want to take the personality test that I created for my life coaching practice, which is based on the book that I wrote, put your phone up, turn it on camera, and focus on this, and it'll take you to it. And it'll take you about 20 minutes to complete the test. It's free, and you'll get some information on your personality. It's quite detailed, quite revealing. It's kind of fun as well. And I'll be leaving this QR code up on the wall behind me for my regular videos. So I hope you take it, and I hope you enjoy it.